What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. A Survivor Series has come to a close and TLC is next. What will the WWE do to build its last pay-per-view of 2020? Join us now as Wrestlelamia analyzes the 23rd November edition of the Red Brand and looks at the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know, including leaked plans for TLC and the Royal Rumble, with WWE having an innovative finish, a WWE Superstar is suspended, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now, as always, we won't waste your time recapping the matches, but we will take a look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly from last night's show. Let's start off with the good as number 1, The Fiend never forgets. After weeks of subtle build-up, it looks like The Fiend has begun his quest for revenge against Randy Orton, who destroyed the Wyatt family in 2017 before defeating Bray for the championship at WrestleMania 33. Now, this happened with The Fiend distracting Orton during his main event match against AJ Styles, costing Orton any chance of getting a rematch against the champion Drew McIntyre. A Fiend vs Orton program should be excellent as fans witness a battle of the two of the WWE's most malevolent minds. The Fiend continues to entertain even with the brief appearances, and the WWE is wise in limiting him to small doses to avoid overexposing one of its hottest acts. Number 2, Twisted Sister. Alexa Bliss joins the ranks of Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns as a superstar who has seen their career take off with a new character. Little Miss Bliss is perfect as the Fiend's space-out sidekick, as she did a good job incorporating her new persona during a match with former friend Nikki Cross. Number 3, Friendship Frog. You never know who is going to show up on the Firefly Funhouse, as seen by the debut and, well, sad exit of Friendship Frog. As noticed by Sportskeeda's Catrick Arry, the dearly departed Friendship Frog was born in 1980, the same year as one Randall Keith Orton. Considering the detail that Bray puts into his character and storylines, it's doubtful that this is a coincidence. As good as the Friendship Frog segment was, not only building up Alexa's match with Nikki, but also heightening the tension between The Fiend and Randy Orton, it's sad that the WWE can do more with a throwaway character than it can with much of its roster. Number 4, a great qualifier. How does the WWE determine who gets a World Championship match? Well, that's a question that often boils down to a wrestler beating up the champion and angering them enough to put the belt on the line. While that formula can work, it's good to see the WWE finally putting some effort into establishing that getting a WWE Championship match is nearly as difficult a feat as winning the belt. Case in point, last night's round of qualifiers to see who will advance to a triple threat match on next week's Raw and battle for a title match against the champion Drew McIntyre. While all 3 qualifiers were entertaining, the Sheamus vs Matt Riddle match was excellent as it featured a clean finish after an action-packed match. Number 5, Sheamus soars. The WWE obviously had big plans for newcomer Matt Riddle, but judging from Sheamus' performance last night, fans could see the Celtic Warrior getting a title program against Drew down the road. As good as Sheamus was with Cesaro and their tag team The Bar, Sheamus still has much to offer as a singles wrestler and not just someone who helps elevate talent to the next level. Like King Corbin, Sheamus has been competitively booked where he wins enough matches against uppercard stars that it takes nothing to keep him as a perennial contender. Even at 42, Sheamus looks like he's had plenty of gas left for one more main event run. Number 6, the streak is over. Congratulations to Lana for the end of a 9-week streak of going through the announce table. While it's uncertain what the future holds for wrestling's ravishing Russian, it's time they find out something better for her than playing the victim to Nia Jax. While there's no guarantee Jax won't put Lana through a table somewhere down the road, even a 1-week pause was a good way to shake things up. And number 7, a great triple threat. The WWE rarely provides fans with any advance notice of what to expect at next week's Raw, but they have one hell of a match in store as Keith Lee, Matt Riddle and AJ Styles battle for a WWE Championship match. Any one of the 3 men in this bout could have walked away victorious, which only adds to the suspense. But that was the good. What about the bad? As number 1, a screwy finish. As unexpected as last night's unexpected match between Raw Women's Champion Asuka and Lana was, it could have been a short but entertaining bout, giving Lana a chance to show she's improved even if she's nowhere near ready to challenge for a world title. Instead, the WWE had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler interfere, leading to a disqualification loss and subsequent tag team match. Pointless? Yep, well, it is another example of just how bad the Raw Women's division is. Speaking of that, number 2, the woeful women's division, specifically on Raw. The Raw women's scene is just awful. How else to describe the lack of quality opponents for Asuka or the Women's Tag Team Championship? Women's Revolution be damned seems to be the WWE's policy, as it's squandering the chance to build up new stars in Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair's absence. Even Asuka is beginning to lose her status as a main eventer, as she finds herself defending the title against mid-card acts who are booked as if they have no chance of winning. And number 3, childish humor. Our fans know the WWE has produced some unintentionally funny moments, but rare is the moment when a so-called comedy segment elicits laughs. The reasons are many, including Vince McMahon being out of touch, but even worse, his childish sense of humor. Last night's Drew McIntyre comment was vintage McMahon, as some fans have attributed Adam Pearce's apparent slip of the lip to an intentional line written by Vince McMahon. If so, what purpose is it serving other than some clicks on social media? Now, there was nothing downright ugly, but as we mentioned earlier, it's positively pitiful that Friendship Frog probably got more time and creative than anyone else on the show. The WWE has a great thing going with The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, but they need to build up some other potential programs, even if they aren't as hot as The Fiend and Bliss, whether it's undercard acts like Retribution or the woeful women's division. What did you guys think of Raw? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, let's move on to the news. Now, our first story looks at big rumors for TLC. A TLC will be here before you know it, 20th December to be exact, and while there's talk that the WWE has no matches planned yet, there's also talk that the WWE has 2 matches already ready to go. Dave Meltzer recently speculated on the Wrestling Observer Radio that fans will finally see Randy Orton and The Fiend do battle, as well as Raw Women's Champion Asuka teaming up with Lana to battle the Women's Tag Team Champions Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Wrestle Talk's Louis Dango also brought up rumors that Lana may fight Nia Jax in a one-on-one tables match. Even more interesting though is Meltzer's speculation that Braun Strowman will challenge Drew McIntyre at TLC for the WWE Championship. If he does, what the hell was the point in those qualifiers and the triple threat match? But whilst we're on the subject of Braun Strowman, he's been suspended by WWE. Now, as you watched last night, Strowman laid out WWE official Adam Pearce, leading to WWE.com announcing WWE Digital has learned that Braun Strowman has been suspended indefinitely for putting his hands on WWE official Adam Pearce. Perhaps it should have been Pearce who should have been suspended with that McIntyre line. Next up, big matches being pushed to TLC. Now, fans have been hearing lots of rumors about Daniel Bryan challenging Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, and while Bryan definitely seems to be the Tribal Chief's next challenger, there's talk it won't happen at TLC as expected, but actually somewhere else. During a recent Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer brought up a recent talk that the WWE is contemplating moving the match to the Royal Rumble, as it's a better venue for a marquee match the likes of Bryan and Reigns. Next up, an innovative Royal Rumble finish. Now, the Royal Rumble has seen some creative finishes, whether it's 94's co-winners Lex Luger and Bret Hart or Vince McMahon's incredible win in 1999. However, there's another clever concept that's been floating around for at least several years now. Ringside News' Steve Carrier recently tweeted, "A very creative idea for a Royal Rumble finish was floated around today, and we checked upon it. It's 100% true that an automatic winner idea is pitched practically every year when planning the Royal Rumble. It's been an idea forever, but they never used it, and for good reason." This is a creative concept, and Lana's name has come up as someone who might win in a half-assed way like this. The only problem is that the winner typically faces the champion at WrestleMania, which begs the question, does the WWE want someone who half-assed their way into a Rumble win working a high-profile match at WrestleMania? A finish like this would have to be carefully crafted, with the winner undergoing a Rocky-like training regime as they fight for the opportunity for a lifetime, and the WWE would have to find a way to motivate the fans to rally behind the underdog. And finally, is WWE looking to trademark Dean Ambrose's name? Last but not least, fans have seen the WWE attempting to trademark many names to protect the names of current superstars as well as pay-per-view events, but a current trademark application has people scratching their heads. According to Wrestling News' Andrew Ravens, WWE is trying to gain the trademark rights to the Dean Ambrose name. On October 8th, WWE filed a trademark with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. The application was entered into the database on November 23rd. WWE wants to trademark for entertainment services, namely wrestling exhibitions and performances by a professional wrestler. Is the WWE going to bring back a new wrestler as Ambrose, much as it did with Diesel and Razor Ramon in the 90s? Well, that seems highly unlikely, but it will be interesting to see why the WWE is interested in the name after letting the trademark lapse. But there you have it guys, the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know, as well as the good, the bad, and the downright ugly of last night's Raw. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.